Let's talk about the shooting that happened outside the Jewish Museum in America last night. We're going to cover exactly what happened in the incident, who the victims are, who the alleged shooter is, the theories that are flying around, and what could possibly happen next. The alleged shooter has been named as 30-year-old Chicago-born Elias Rodriguez. Now, Elias was seen pacing up and down on the street outside the museum previous to the attack. He then approached a group of 4 people before letting out shots. Once this was completed, he then re-entered the museum calmly, where he asked for water, sat down, and then asked someone to call the police. Now, when the police arrived on the scene, he admitted to the shooting and also let them know where the weapon was. When he was then arrested, he chanted out, "Free, free Palestine." Who were the 2 victims that Elias Rodriguez shot and killed? According to the Israeli embassy, they were in fact a couple that worked for the embassy. The man in question was named Yaron Lishinsky, who was 29 years old. Now, the interesting thing about Yaron is that he was not Jewish. He was in fact a Christian. And he had also gone to Israel to complete his aliyah, which is the traveling in Israel, volunteering for the IOF. So he literally, as a Christian American, went to Israel, did his pilgrimage, served in the IOF, and I cannot vouch for if he has murdered any Palestinian men, women, and children, but he did serve in the IOF. Yaron was a research assistant in Middle Eastern affairs at the Israeli embassy, and according to the embassy, was about to propose to his fiancée, which was Sarah Milligan, who also worked as the embassy in the civil society team. Now, both of them were apparently going to go to Israel in the following week to get engaged. Been able to dig much up about Sarah, but the opposite is true of Yaron. Now, I've had a look through Yaron's X account, and you can see that he is a prolific blue and whiter who denied the genocide, who denied the famine, who celebrated attacks on Yemeni soil. So this is someone who was an ardent supporter of a genocide. Now, I do not condone murder. I do not celebrate the death of anyone, but there is absolutely no empathy in my body for anyone that supports the genocide and the active murder of men, women, and children. So although murder is wrong, I will not be shedding any tears for 2 victims that not only worked for the settler colonial genocidal state, but supported and endorsed their ideologies. We've covered the 2 people that died. Let's look at the alleged shooter, Elias Rodriguez. As we know, he's 30 years old and born and raised in the city of Chicago in America. He has no criminal record and was not known to the police in any way. In fact, he has a BA from the University of Illinois in English and previously worked as a oral history researcher. And the oral history research that he specialized in was leaders in the African American community. Rodriguez's current employers are in fact the American Osteopathic Information Association, and he apparently has a job in some sort of administrative role within this organization. As well as this, he was a previous member of the Party for Socialism and Liberation. Now, they've actually released a statement saying that he hasn't been with the organization since 2017, and they are in no way at all connected to Rodriguez's actions. As well as this, he's previously attended many demonstrations and actions for Palestine. Currently, the mainstream media and the Israeli embassy is portraying this as an anti-Semitic attack. However, it's poignant to remember that Yaron was in fact a Christian Zionist and was not Jewish. So therefore, it looks more like this is an attack on Zionism rather than the Jewish religion. This is an attack on the Israeli embassy and anyone who is connected and associated with a settler colonial state. There are many theories flying around, including that this could possibly be a red flag set up by the Israelis to deflect attention away from the atrocities that they are committing. However, the more we look at Elias Rodriguez, the more sense that this makes, that this could possibly be someone, a peaceful, normal citizen who got to the point where he broke. We will not know that until Rodriguez gives his statement. So in the meantime, we can argue about it being a false flag. We can argue about it being an act of someone that just had enough and snapped. We could find many different theories to go around this. But what we do know is 2 members of the Israeli embassy are now dead, and the narrative is starting to shift. I said previously, murder is wrong. However, the narrative seems to be going away from the fact that over 40,000 Palestinians have been murdered. Children have been shot in their heads. Babies, unborn fetuses inside their mothers' bellies have been shot. But the focus has now shifted to 2 members of the Israeli embassy. We cannot have empathy for 2 people that chose to support a genocide over the fact that 40,000 innocent men, women, and children have been murdered. If you want me to feel sympathy for 2 individuals who not only supported but endorsed and spoke in glee about the death, the starvation and the genocide of the Palestinians. If you want me to cry some kind of empathetic tears over their death, it's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. I will repeat this again. Murder is wrong. But all of my empathy, all of my tears, all of my grief, my sorrow and my heartbreak is dedicated and focused on the innocent civilians in Palestine that have been murdered and are now currently at the risk of starvation and literally an eradication of every single one of them. I hate to have to say that, but that is what we are seeing happening. So my focus is there, and that's where our focus should be. Not on 2 individuals that chose this path. They chose a path of supporting violence. And if you want to come at me for that, come at me. Because I'm too busy crying for all those dead little babies.